Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And a very interesting weekend of Call of Duty, no doubt about it. Plenty of storyline to dive into. What exactly is going wrong with the New York subliners? And with Dashy looking increasingly comfortable on the 74U, could that be something that OpTic employ more often? And tweet your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. If you're upside the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, thought this is kind of a funny clip from Crony. If you guys know this one, you know this one. That's, well, I suppose we'll leave it at that. New York, let's just say this. Obviously, a really difficult time for them as of late. Going to the stage 4 major, as Team couldn't get there because of the visa issues. They had to bring in Decimate, and obviously they didn't look great at that event, but Decimate did something in the Search and Destroy at least, and you'd have thought, okay, Team was clearly the glue to this team. Bringing him back in should make a massive difference for those guys. However, this past week has not looked good. They went Game 5, Round 11, probably should have won it up against Los Angeles. Thieves, a brand new team over there, and then got pretty much pummeled by OpTic Chicago last night. This is something that Chicago do from time to time. They just completely outslay you off the map, but that's something you can't really afford to happen if you're at the subliners. They got outslayed by so much last night, it was absolutely insane. And the Search and Destroy, they lose in a Round 11 fashion. They got pretty much outclassed in the control, a raid control where they are very good at. And of course, Clayster was really frustrated, right? Because there was all the delays in the series. Feels like everything must be going wrong for these guys right now. And still, look, they're locked up pretty solidly for like a top 4 seeding this entire season. So they're still going to be in a decent spot come the World Championship. But really, it's an interesting trajectory they have taken. Because to me, I thought that subliners this entire season, they'd be a little bit suspect. They'd eventually bring in Hydra. And then like stage 4, stage 5, that's when they'd really get good, right? Because I thought they'd take some time to really find their groove with Clayster and getting the rest of the guys on board. But I thought like come champs, they'd actually really be a contender. In a way, it seems to have gone the other way in a sense. That in stage 3, that's when they looked like the best contender, where they were winning every single hardpoint. Now they can't win a hardpoint, they also can't win a Surge. Their control's fallen off. I mean, I think there's something like 6 in 17 in map counts since their last series victory against the Royal Ravens. That is not pretty at all. And exactly what do you do with this team right now? Because of course they need to fix something, needs to get better. Of course the squad's going to stay the same. Even if they wanted to make a change, they couldn't because the rosters are locked right now. They could bring in a substitute or something. They could bring in Diamond Comp, but I'm certainly not sure that's the ideal. I think that they can certainly get back to form with the current team that they have, but it's not exactly ideal. I felt kind of bad for the watch party that was here in force. Not necessarily enjoying themselves, right? Getting a 3-0 sweep like OpTic, like by OpTic, of course, like they did. So what exactly do you do with the subliners right now? Obviously, they've got to find their way back to form. This is the Breaking Boy tweeted out. Pretty sure Liebad did this one. The classic Clayster 3-0 from back in the Ghost days. Clayster doesn't really look too different, to be honest, even now that he did back then. He got Proofy in the background. This is that classic OpTic team that ended up winning the X Games gold medal as it was at the time. So honestly, like all the players have fallen off. That's what's kind of strange here. I think Clayster to me is the catalyst of the subliners. The entire season, at the start of the season, let's just say, and also in stage 3, he was really, really good. And he had some great moments. And when he's playing well and he's on form, like it really inspires, I think, the rest of the team. Asim is also that kind of hype man as well. But it's fairly rare, I would say, that like the X factor on a team is the main assault rifle. It's usually like the flex player or one of the aggro SMGs or something. But to me, like when Clayster and he's frying, when the vibes are there, then the rest of the team really funnels off that. But it just doesn't seem like he's having the greatest time as of late, and the rest of the team can't get anything going either. Like yesterday, Hydra had like a 0.74, which is very rare for him, obviously. And Mac has been playing pretty well. He was so good, right, for a few weeks, but then he's fallen off pretty drastically as of late. So maybe that all stems from Clayster. It's somewhat tough to say, but this I saw as well on Reddit from Joseph right here. New York subliners with a team in the US, in Texas, right, where in theory they should be better, but when he's got the Bell Fiber on it, so looking pretty spectacular for them. So interesting stuff regardless. I felt kind of bad for Zuma as well, because they did the flank last night in person. That was really cool, right? You've got to be willing to fail publicly and stuff like this if you want to make some meaningful progression. So really cool that they did this. It was unfortunate that it kind of fell off after like 35 minutes or so. I'm pretty sure they're going to finish off the rest of the show later today to do the OpTic versus Subliner series and all that type of stuff. But it was a really cool idea. You can see some nice pictures from it actually coming out. You can see right here, Ben and Jane Nassim on the right hand side, Tommy Zuma Paparazzo on the left. And I think as he says right here, they will end up doing it a little bit later on. But of course, speaking of New York versus OpTic, they had a fantastic result to the OpTic guys. And this is a really interesting topic of discussion, I thought, for me personally, was Dashy using the SMG. This final round you see right here, Formal and Dashy find themselves in pretty much a 2 versus 3. Dashy has to pick him a nice little 2-piece. Formal turns on the last guy, and that's enough to get them over the line in this map. Now, usually we don't see Dashy on an SMG. Typically throughout his career he's been an assault rifle player, but he's the type of player with just incredible gun skill that can get it done with a lot of different weapons. And right here they seem to be pretty comfortable with him using the SMG on this map. We saw before he was using the FFAR for a little bit on this map. It was looking pretty comfortable at times, has definitely been a good player on this map, and teams have generally gravitated towards players using 3 SMGs on this map, and therefore Dashy seems to be going down that route as well. They looked pretty good with this game. New York, of course, won a few rounds that maybe they shouldn't have, and OpTic won a few rounds probably in a similar boat. Goes all the way to round 11. When the ice is required, Dashy comes up big with a 2-piece down low, and that gets them over the line in this map. Now, we generally see, there's pretty much only 2 maps. There's this map, and then there's Apocalypse Hardpoint, where teams can use 2 SMGs, or 3 SMGs, sorry, and I imagine Dashy will pull it out if required in those situations. We talked about, Octane potentially even using it for Seattle Surge if needed, Crimsix using it instead of ILLey, right, on Apocalypse Hardpoint especially. So still, the AK-74U shoots very straight indeed, and Dashy's just that type of player that obviously is so talented that he can pretty much use any weapon. And people have been talking about this when, let's say, OpTic have been struggling. A lot of other teams have decided to make role changes. Now, look, I don't really think that's a potential solution. I know that Scump has talked about the fact that, look, if he's on an assault rifle, he could definitely fry with it. Whenever he picks up the Krig, he's absolutely going off on the main stage. I wonder if there could be a world in the future where Dashy actually finds himself on an SMG. I don't necessarily think he's incredibly well suited to that role overall, and would obviously need to learn it, but some people have been talking about, okay, maybe you put Dashy on the SMG, you put Scump on the AR. Not saying they should do that for the rest of this season by any means, but who knows, right? If something suits their play in future seasons, could be something to consider at the very least. And I thought this was kind of interesting as well, right? Because Dashy versus Clayster was the final kill that went down in that search and destroy. There's been plenty of back and forth between those guys before the season even began, right? With that, well, I guess I'll bring this up on screen for you guys right here. No one's saving you this year, brother. Looking forward to seeing you on the battlefield. And they certainly had their fair few back and forths at the start of the season throughout it, and now it very much seems like Dashy's well on the upper hand once again. This I thought was an interesting discussion that JP brought up just yesterday. Most exaggerated term he used throughout this entire CDL season is the flex player. Now really, like, a flex player was a thing back in World War II, when players like Gunless would genuinely go out there and sometimes use a bar, sometimes they'd use an STG, sometimes they'd use a PPSH depending on the situation. And if you were great with all the different weapons and all the different pacings that you had to play at, that's what made you a great flex. The last couple of years, especially this season, you don't really have a flex. Pretty much you just have a second assault rifle. But on some maps, especially if OpTic kind of like playing Express Search and Destroy, especially if they start bringing in Apocalypse Hardpoint to their rotation, then you will actually see a flex player when on certain maps he will use different things. Now there are some players that genuinely do flex quite a lot, and they will use for certain hardpoints, right? They'll bring out SMGs, they'll bring out ARs. And if Dashy's feeling comfortable with that, he could step into actually like a genuine flex role, where certainly on certain hardpoints on certain maps, 3 SMGs might be advantageous, and maybe Dashy can pull that out instead of using the Krig the entire time. It was certainly working very well for them here. I think he's easily got the talent to get it done with the SMG in hand. Maybe something that OpTic could consider a little bit more often to kind of revolutionize their gameplay in a sense, because the FFAR is no longer in the meta. It's just straight up Krig 74U, and it's not exactly the most exciting thing to watch in the world, but at the end of the day, it kind of gets the job done at this point. And if Dashy can get good on that kind of situation, it might give OpTic some sort of advantage, right? Because not too many other players are able to do that right now. Cellium does it from time to time, right, with the SMG. We've seen some pretty good effect from him as of late. There's other players that do it as well, Cammy on occasion. So it could be another feather in the OpTic cap if they can make this one work for the rest of the season. But certainly looking good at the present time. Still looking good also at these gentlemen, no doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, OpTic moved to 2-0 in their group. That's fantastic for them, especially because New York lose the tiebreaker now to both Los Angeles Thieves and OpTic Chicago. Like, I don't know what, I mean, basically they're going to have to beat FaZe, right? New York are going to have to beat FaZe next time, and then have other things going their way as well to manage to get the top 2 or top 3 in the group. And FaZe do not like losing anytime soon, and especially, well, New York have actually had, I'm pretty sure, the 4 losses that FaZe have had, 2 of them have come to the New York subliners, so it's still possible, I suppose, but FaZe didn't even lose a map this first week, so they don't look particularly likely to do so again. These are the games coming up then. First of all, looking at this for the playoff picture, it's, despite what the CDL say about, oh yeah, they're in danger of the bottom 4, it's, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Now, with Los Angeles Thieves having that series victory, they now guarantee their spot in the top 8, and they are catching up Minnesota Rokkr now with only a 10-point deficit between the two of them. So, well, if Thieves can have a great finish out to this stage, they could well nab that 6th seed. Also, Mutiny's in a similar spot to doing so, and I'm pretty sure they will shortly be confirmed into the top 8 as well. These are the games for next week. Most of these days, like Thursday and Saturday, like, are just so dull. Friday is actually kind of interesting because you've got Empire versus Mutineers and FaZe versus Thieves. That's something I'm looking forward to. I don't want to see how Thieves can actually match up against the very top team in the game, because they've been playing a lot better as of late, no doubt about it. They looked pretty good against London yesterday. They just scraped past New York in a game 5 round 11, but every single series they should be getting better. Coming up against the final boss of Call of Duty, though, is going to be pretty tough. Obviously you've got to favour FaZe in every single series they play right now, but if Thieves can get close to them, that might show something kind of interesting, especially because OpTic are playing them on the Sunday. This Sunday is pretty good, right, because you've got Minnesota Rokkr versus Dallas Empire. Massive series here once again, because if Thieves can win this, I mean, I doubt they're going to win it, but even if they lose right in Minnesota, lose to Dallas Empire, and maybe Minnesota, I don't know what they'll do against Surge, but still, there's so much battle going on right there for the 6th seed. At the same time, Ultra come out, they play Gorillas, they play Surge. I mean, it's obviously a pretty straightforward week for them, you would assume. And subliners have a massive important bounce back match for them up against the Ravens. If they can then take down Paris, then I mean, they might have a chance against FaZe to still get top 3, but it's going to be tight, no doubt. And then, of course, on the Sunday, this is really where it gets phenomenal, to be honest. Thieves play Paris Legion, so they could have a good chance to go 1-1 on the week. And then FaZe up against OpTic Chicago, which has obviously not been a match that's got in OpTic's favour so far this season anytime they have played them. The very first stage that they played, it was a game 5, it was like, well, that Miami Search and Destroy didn't really go in OpTic's favour, and a lot of the talk at the time was, okay, OpTic Search and Destroy, if it improves, they'll be able to compete with FaZe. The problem is for FaZe, they've gone on an absolute rampage these last several stages, and OpTic have never really been able to get close to them, so this might be a chance to do so, right? Because if you want to win the World Championship, you're probably going to have to beat FaZe, especially because FaZe are going to start in the winners bracket, and well, the winners bracket in the second round, they only need to win 3 series to win champs. Maybe the best chance to beat FaZe is to somehow take them out in the winners final. Actually, I'm pretty sure if the way the bracket works, if OpTic beat New York, then I'm pretty sure they play FaZe in like the second round of winners, which obviously maybe is not ideal, but it's a good chance for OpTic right here to prove, okay, yeah, we can actually compete with FaZe and give them a good go when it comes around to the World Championship, or maybe even taking them down here would be a great opportunity, right, going into the Stage 5 Major. Exciting series nonetheless coming up. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you guys as always, take care, and I will see you next time.